G'day and welcome to another edition of Sage of the Dusty Page. Today we're going to dive into another Dungeon magazine, issue number 4 from March, April 1987, back in the day. So Dungeon magazine produced by TSR, gave D&D players the opportunity to submit adventures to the magazine, get them play tested, and the good ones were published. So here we are. We've got a wonderful piece of art on the front. I think this is a half ogre tidying up a patron of his bar who was probably doing the wrong thing. On the inside here, we've got a bit of advertising for the World of Kryn, leaves from the Inn of the Last Home. The magazine has 4 adventures. 3 of them I think are all right. Fluffy goes to heck. It's not my cup of tea. I don't rate it at all. So the cover was presented by Daniel Horn, and it is half ogre. And here we have a really good likeness to Chucky the doll from back in the day, and that is the leader of the Thieves Guild in the second adventure. So I think the first adventure's a cracker, the second one's not bad, and the last one's all right. Today I'll probably just talk at length about the first adventure and we'll flick through the others. You get your readers' letters and we crack into this adventure. Now, this is a relatively high-level adventure, 6th to 9th level characters. It is Kingdom in the Swamp. It is obviously set in a swamp. And basically the party follows a crazy halfling into a vampire's castle. So this halfling, Candor Fletton, was with another party. They were in the southern jungles or rainforests, and he inadvertently decided he's a bit of a kleptomaniac, and he lifted something of significance. The party was driven out of the village into the swamp. They encounter a keep. They started to explore the keep and met this old guy, and basically he's a vampire, and he's an unusual vampire because he's cursed by Orcus, and he can remain in his castle or just the immediate island that the castle is on in the swamp. And just across the way is a great statue of Orcus looking at the castle. So it was there to torment the human that had broken his pact with him. So basically, if the vampire leaves the castle and that island, Orcus will get his soul. So he doesn't like to create other vampires. He prefers to dominate his victims and use them as human slaves until they die, and then he turns them into zombies. So that's the gist of the vampire. You get a nice picture of Candor there. He's a 5th level thief. You get a map of the environs of the swamp, the keep. There's an error on this map. This number 3 is actually meant to be sort of more on a tip. You'll see that when I do Dungeon magazine issue number 5. You get some random counters for the swamp and some set counters if the adventurers go that way. One of them being a green hag, a statue of Orcus, the cypress trees where Candor's party tied up their canoes, the castle, the graveyard, an outlaw band, a wounded creature, some more creatures, yeah. So here is our antagonist, the vampire, with his familiar and his coat of arms. You get the details of the adventuring party and basically what's befalling them inside the keep and where they are in the keep. So if the party follows the adventure hook of the halfling going and rescuing the adventurers from the village, you could do it that way, or you could use the outlaws as another adventuring hook, perhaps. With the adventure, you could tie a bit of work with the demon. You could massage different ways, so it didn't have to be in a jungle and in the southern reaches. I think this would be a really good adventure if you put it off the back of the Salt Marsh series in the Hull Marshes. I think you could really do something with this. So the Halfling's companions were Antinous Delsur, a cleric who'd lost some levels to energy drain, a good old energy drain. Gorham Grimbeard, I really like his name, 7th level dwarf fighter who's got immense strength, 1899, and Tandis Malanar, a half-elf mage. So you get your map of your keep. I like it. It's quite a simple layout. It's not, you could probably play this in one session, this adventure. It's a, manageable. So yeah, you've got a dining hall, staircases, kitchen, bedroom, and the hall, laboratory, studies, roof, and a watchtower. And then you go into the crypts. So the different party members are scattered throughout. One's in a tied up basically with a magical rope. One's been polymorphed and one's been dominated. And the adventurers need to find different ways to free them. The thing about the vampire, he is a 8th level fighter, I think, and 10th level mage. So he not only has his vampire abilities, he has a number of spell-like abilities. So, and some of them are quite powerful. Feeble Mind and Magic Jar in particular. So when you adventure, this guy is actually, it's difficult. And he doesn't attack initially. He observes the party and then works out a strategy on which PC to target first. So there we have that. You encounter a new monster, a crystal spider, and you get the details for that later on. If the party wound the vampire and he retreats back to his coffin. You can't leave the castle because his soul will be taken by orcas, so he's sort of stuck where you get to basically a big boss fight. And there's a crypt with a number of coffins, but you've got to work out which coffin he's in, which is fairly obvious. But the others have some powerful undead in them, a mummy, a large killer mimic, as well as plenty of loot. So if you defeat the vampire, well and good, and you save the halfling's friend, that's fantastic. You feel really good. If you use the adventure hooks, the party want to go back to the village where the thief inadvertently collected the wrong thing, and to make amends, they want you to go and kill another vampire that was one of the main enemy's earlier creations. So it was a local warrior that got lost in the swamp, got turned into a vampire, and then whilst he was a bat on the island, he actually got blown off in a big windstorm and was free of his master's dominance, and he's been harassing the village since. And he's created 3 other lesser vampires. And there is your crystal spider. So it is I think it's a really, really good adventure. I've never played it, but I think to read it, it is. An interesting item here is a potion of restoration. Quite a powerful thing, and mitigates quite a number of spell effects. So that is that one. So more quickly, the Escape from the Tower of Midnight basically is a campaign exclusively for an adventure exclusively for thieves. It puts one thief guild trying to fight another. I think it's a pretty good adventure, and if you could use this a number of ways if you're running a campaign and you needed the Thieves Guild, like this is one, and it's got maps of their headquarters and their different facilities. So you get a roster of the thieves in the Midnight Stalkers, and a quick synopsis of their levels and abilities and so forth. You get the town encounter key. You get a bit of a timeline as events happen through the adventure. So you got to escape. Sorry, there's a time limit. You're going to be executed in 2 days' time. So you're running against the clock to do something. But here is the Tower of Midnight. The first, second and third floors. The key to it. Then you get the Tower of Midnight, the upper level, so we go right up to the 10th floor. And then you get to all the cells, and you basically fight your way down. It's it's not a bad adventure, and it'd be again good. It's set up as a tournament module. I never played any of them as a young lad, so it wasn't our style of play. We were sort of murder hobos, slash and bash, and I was probably the caster of the odd irresponsible fireball. Fluffy Goes to Heck, it's a shamelessly absurd AD&D adventure, and that's it. That's what it is. Look, it just really wasn't my cup of tea. I did like the artwork in this module. I thought that was quite quirky, and took a little bit of fun at the great man himself, Mr. Gygax, and Elvis. But here, this is where I thought about Fondue and Birdseye and Wok. Probably some of these names are, out there. Yeah, so it's designed that you have used pre-generated characters to do the adventure. So the last adventure is Trouble at Grog's. This is a good adventure, first level characters. It is basically you're there to solve a crime and save the reputation of the half-ogre. He owns a tavern in a little village, which is quite sandboxy, but really good for a DM to drop somewhere and use this adventure and then build a number of other adventures off for a low-level party. It's got some problem solving, some combat, some reasonable rewards, and it talks a bit about half-ogres and their benefits as it was detailed in issue number 73 of Dragon, or the best of Dragon. So so in this there are quite a number of half-ogres. The Happy Half-Ogre Inn and Tavern, you get a good map, and you get a number of good maps in this scenario. Again, a bit about the tavern. Here's a good map of the village. I quite like this. I thought this was pretty cool. And yeah, so you get a detail of the guardhouse and the jail, the Hearthfire Inn, Bearclaw Keep, and the and a key to it. And here's obviously the ruler side on Bearclaw, and then Dagger Rock Tavern. So basically, one tavern owner is trying to put Grog's Tavern out of business because it's taking away too much business from him. So, and he has done various crimes to frame patrons of Grog's Tavern. So anyway, the idea is Grog or the sheriff elicit the party to investigate discreetly to find the real culprits. And there's a small side adventure of a Dagger Rock that's in the village. Yeah, but it's a good first level adventure, it really is. And a nice little village for the adventures to have as a safe haven and so forth. So, and there are the caverns under the town, which allow some of the crimes to happen. So, that was the quick and dirty review, my thoughts on this issue number 4 of Dungeon Magazine. Thank you to all my new subscribers. It has been, really good that more people have come on and got on the channel. So I'll be continuing doing my Dungeon Magazine. I'm thinking about doing a Frostgrave review later in the week, but we'll see how I go, because I've got to go back to work this week. But like, subscribe, and have a great day. Be safe, and I hope your New Year's going well.